with the with a win there.
All right.
And
moving
heading
here to the head-to-head.
Yes, we see Master Yi on the No Heroes J and Shadawx on the Lee Sin. We can see here that it seems that both players lost their first game. So both players on a loss, looking for that win. One of them will win this. One of them will end up 1-1. We can see a split of 5-7 for both, going over to the Master Yi deck, Casanova.
Yeah, taking a look, this is a pretty standard Yi list that I'm seeing. I think, First Mate is a card that sometimes falls in and out of the Yi deck, but generally I like it having that modularity, that flexibility to ready a unit and get it into an open battlefield. Yi just really needs to be holding, needs to play defense, not the best at conquering. You see kind of the other side of that with Kiana wanting to conquer, but that's fine because this ends up being a monstrous deflect unit. I think one of the things we see in a lot of Yi decks that's not represented there was the Kraken Hunter, because you can accelerate it out and then it is just a 3 or 7 on defense, which is so incredibly strong. Jumping over to this Lee Sin list from Shadawx, this looks like a little bit of cooking has gone on with the Blitzcrank in the sideboard, one of Blitzcrank in the main deck, and looking very defensive with the Zonya's Hourglasses, the Sunlit Guardians, and we're only seeing 2 of the main deck set Brawler, which is one of the craziest cards in Lee Sin. Notably, it is going to be orange Lee Sin within that champion zone, no green Lee Sin, and an extra copy of it at that, so really valuing the accelerate that can come through.
So one of the things that I want to mention is that on the Master Yi deck, we saw the White Flame Protector, which got a lot of flame. Unintentional pun there. Talking like how expensive it is for an effect that not a lot of people they didn't think it would be good. But we saw some people running a tournament last week, running it in the deck, seeing it more use. I think there was a China competition where it performed really well. And we saw 3 copies of it in the Master Yi deck there. So we are going to be seeing some use of that throughout this games.
All right, jumping into this game, we've got Shadawx and No Heroes J. Their cameras do look to be swapped here because I know that is Shadawx on top. So I know for a fact, I know him in real life. So that is Shadawx at the top of your screen. You got J at the bottom. And it's going to be Dreaming Tree and Obelisk of Power to kick things off. So both players are going to get that additional rune at the start of the game. And Dreaming Tree is going to give that draw. I believe that's the one when you cast a buff, or you cast a spell targeting your own unit, you draw a card. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Marshall, but I believe
that is correct. The first time you choose a friendly unit with a spell, each turn draw 1. So for the Master Yi deck that likes to continuously buff their cards, very strong battlefield. But we see Jay play the Stalwart Poro, and it gets met with another shield unit, the Sunlit Guardian from Shadawx.
Yeah, and it was a really nice starting turn for Shadawx on the Obelisk, right? Getting to play this out with a buff. It's going to be able to help him potentially contest, as Master Yi will be able to get this shield unit, the Poro, out onto the battlefield straight away, get that +2 buff while holding with the Master Yi Legend ability. So Poro having shield 1, it will be a 3 on defense baseline, but becomes a 5 on defense because Master Yi gives +2 when defending alone.
Yes, very, very good legend for holding battlefields. Your opponent most likely, especially in these early turns, are going to struggle to take on units that are that large. However, Lee Sin has a lot of answers in the Body and Calm bucket list, like the full set of cards that they can use. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he deals with this 5 might unit currently.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe Jay has passed the turn. Yeah, did pass the turn after just moving the Poro in. So holding up a lot of runes for spells. And that is going to be a big question for Shadawx. How does he want to deal with this? Has a Snapvine in hand, which is immediately a great answer to anything Master Yi wants to do, because Yi's units only get the bonus when defending. So that means a combat has to start. You have to contest the battlefield for it to matter. And so when you use spells and removal things onto units at the battlefield when you don't start the combat. They don't get that +2. And in fact, this Poro is just a measly 2 when it comes to any spell effects trying to deal with it.
Yes, it's one of the strong points about Snapvine. You get the cards that have the shield on them, or the legends that give cards buffs when they are attacking, but obviously, or attacking or defending, sorry, but they're not defending from anything. They're just on the battlefield alone. The Snapvine reaches over, bites its head off, and it ain't got any might to defend itself. But we see the Guardian push up to the Obelisk to gain the point. Oh, and there comes down the Snapvine, just deciding on where to place him. Oh, he's thinking about it.
Yeah, interesting to place it, because you would lose out on the Master Yi ability if it is placed next to the Poro. However, just going to play that down, go for the Sunlit Guardian. Shadawx is tapped out here, so not going to be able to protect this. Does actually have one rune available if there was something like an On Guard, but is just going to let that happen. And it's going to go back over to Shadawx.
Shadawx. So he has the Kiana. He can get that Conquer effect if he pushes to the Obelisk. Maybe his hand's a bit dry if he's struggling for cards. He can get that extra draw. If he's trying to ramp up, he can channel an Exhausted Rune for next turn. We can see that he does have Lee Sin Orange, the Centered, as his champion unit, which will be allowed to be played accelerated if he decides to go for that. So we'll just have to wait and see what Shadawx decides to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Kiana, certainly we're going to want to get that Conquer for free. I think he's considering if Challenge would matter here, but I believe he does have some kind of buffs in hand. And the Conquer effect being able to allow you to draw a card or channel a rune gives a lot of flexibility. So I'm going to go ahead and pop up the hands here, and we'll take a look at what Shadawx actually has. It's a lot of low-cost stuff. Sorry, it is on the top here. He does have the set and the first mate to re-ready, but he doesn't have a lot of ways to break through Jay's defenses. It's just going to be a Kiana Conquer on the Obelisk of Power.
Yep. And, we see the sets come down. Orange set, which reads, when I'm played and when I conquer, buff me. So this card comes down as a 5 energy, 5 might. But if you decide to spend that buff, to go back down to 4, you gain 4 might for the turn. So a very large unit to deal with these incredibly large units that Jay is holding on these battlefields.
I'm going to soapbox for a second, because this card is so messed up in Lee Sin. The thing that you mentioned, the +4 when you remove the buff, that's not once per turn. That's as many times as you can put buffs on to set. And so when you're playing Lee Sin, it's got the buff immediately. You're able to pump to 8. You can buff with Lee for 1 and then pump to 12. And then if you have Pit Rookie, which is in this deck, you can do it again, pump to 16. So if you ever need to break through anything, you can just limit break your set all the way to the top and try and take it down. But Shadawx is going to end up losing the Kiana to the Snapvine coming through, as it was buffed by Pit Rookie. And it now is going to be a 7 on the point offensively and will go up to a 9 with the Yi ability.
Yep, we see Jay pass over turn with 5 energy up. So Shadawx got to be careful to play around all of those spells that Yi is notorious for having in his back pocket. But as we just discussed, there's no unit that is going to be large enough to stop this set from pushing onto a battlefield. The Snapvine is currently at 6, plus 1 from the Might, plus an additional 2 from the Yi if he decides to push there. So that's 9 Might he has to push over to get the point for. He seems to have used the set ability there. Oh, I think we're about to see it.
Here it comes. Exactly what I was talking about. Gonna buff it again and then pump it all the way to 12. Does he have the Pit Rookie? Does he want to go even further beyond? Just gonna be 12 into 9.
So we're gonna have to wait to see what Jay decides to do. If he's got the spells for protection. He's hesitating, which makes me believe that he does. Going for 2. Going for the discipline, which is, if my math is correct, it's 11. So he's going for the draw. So it's 11 to 12. Oh, and gets the on guard as well. So it is 13 to 12.
I wonder if Shadawx has anything. I get the feeling he must. Yeah, it's going to be a discipline. He kept every rune open, didn't play anything. Could have played Lee Sin to run in with Set if he really was worried. So he is going to pump over again, but there's one more potentially. 2 energy available for Jay. Defies the discipline. Does Shadawx have another answer? On guard. Will get there. Unless there is one more answer with this last rune for Jay.
He's pushing for it. It seems like everything's going through, and it seems like Shadawx might have just pushed over enough.
Yeah, he did. This is a massive advantage for Shadawx, being able to blow out all these extra cards. Will heal after this as well. Oh, there's another on guard.
There's another on guard. He pushes it. Does Shadawx have a response to the...
It's 15 on 14. He doesn't.
Oh, wow. Devastating for Shadawx.
That is tough.
He loses the set. He did push Jay out of 4 cards there. So, Jay is now running... If we look at the hands here, Jay is running with a Clockwork Keeper and a First Mate. We have a Charm and a First Mate and a Spirit's Refuge. And we have our Chosen Champion still.
Yeah, the tough thing for Shadawx, though, is he does not really have much left over. Does end up having the Snapvine to slow down the bleeding just a little bit. I mean, end of the day, the Pit Rookie is going to be able to just cap, so it doesn't actually slow anything down. It is going to be on a 1-turn clock. Not a great way to deal with the Snapvine.
I'm trying to think of the play to kill the Snapvine, but Jay removes him back to the base. He readies him up and brings him back to the other battlefield. So, the way that I can see this now is... Okay, he needed one. Okay, he found it. He needs to play Lee Sin centered, and then buff the Snapvine, and with the readied Lee Sin, because you're accelerating him, you can push and kill that Snapvine.
Yeah, I'm also curious have to kill that. If there's room for some kind of charm play. I believe Shadawx does have charm, which would make Shadawx the defender and get rid of the Lee Sin buff, or the Master Yi buff onto the unit, if he can move Snapvine and then charm the other Snapvine. But he needs more might on top of that. It can't just... It is a buffed Snapvine versus just a normal one.
Yep.
Maybe looking for some kind of play like that here, as we do get the Snapvine moving to just conquer.
Going for the conquer. Thinking about what he can do. We know he had a First Mate. We know he had a Charm.
I feel like he's got to be looking for some kind of charm shenanigans here to deal with this massive Snapvine. Just noting, charm, you can move an enemy unit, and that can be to a battlefield. It can be back to their base, I believe. But when you move it to a battlefield that you occupy, that will start a combat with them as the attacker and you as the defender.
Oh, we see a Spirit's Refuge. So, when you play this, buff a friendly unit. If it doesn't have a buff, it gets a 1 might buff. Friendly units have deflect if they don't already. Oh, he's got the Blitzcrank!
So this is, you know, you had the charm option, but this is just a Blitzcrank. Gonna come down. What is he gonna hook in?
I mean, I think it's... He has
the charm still, so you can hook something else and then charm the Snapvine and get kind of a 2-for-1 with the Blitzcrank. But is that too greedy with a couple runes up?
Oh, we see the other discipline from Jay. So this Snapvine is rocking a strong 9 might. Has to take out the Blitzcrank first because of the tank keyword. He must be assigned damage first.
Yep. So the other side effect of that was, by doing it in response, was able to get the trigger from the Dreaming Tree, which reads, draw a card when you target a unit here the first time per turn. And so by putting the discipline on the Snapvine in response to the Blitzcrank trigger, was able to draw 2 cards. And I think that was the big thing Jay was looking for. The +2 doesn't do anything because it just dies and Blitzcrank has tank, but you are able to draw 2 cards to try and refill for this next turn, try and find a way to score both locations.
So he's going for a lot of spending here. Oh, it is the White Flame Protector plus 8 might onto the first mate, I believe. Shadawx, obviously, no response with only 1 energy available. And Jay takes game number 1.
Yeah, Jay is going to get there. We'll have to see how the sideboarding goes for Shadawx and Jay. I didn't see any Dragon's Rages for Shadawx, which is actually a pretty nice card in this matchup. Being able to get the unit off the point and sometimes dealing with the unit that Yi has waiting to try and cap something else. And so I'm wondering if there's anything else that this Lee Sin deck has for the Master Yi matchup in particular. We saw the main board of the Spirit's Refuge as an answer to all the Kaisas, but I'm curious what other tools are in this deck.
So, as I mentioned, the White Flame Protector is a card that I wanted to see it, and it did exactly what it wanted to do. It showed its purpose, running the 3 copies of it, won him the game. He had no answer to it. How do you answer an 11 might first mate plus an additional 2 might from a Clockwork Keeper?
I was talking to my friend in China about kind of what's happening in the meta there with the game being released. And Master Yi is a very popular champion in League of Legends in China, so he's a very popular legend in China right now. And while they can't get Master Yi yet, Proving Grounds was delayed till the 15th. They're going to have that soon enough. What he did say was White Flame Protectors are $20 each right now. And in comparison, a baited hook is 50 cents, and they're the same rarity of cards. So a lot of the players are really looking for their White Flame Protectors. It is a very popular card in China right now, especially with all of the Yi players. And so we're seeing, hey, just how strong it can be in a Master Yi deck here on display in the Riftlab trials.
And listen, $20 is an insane value for a card that people threw out the moment it was revealed. They were like, it's too expensive, its effect doesn't feel like it's strong enough. It goes to show you that just because you've seen a card get revealed, maybe a card later down the line, we got Master Yi, can just prove how strong that card will be later on. But the players are now adjusting their decks, they have their sideboards, so it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt. If it's possible to pull up the deck lists again, we can have a look at the sideboards to see what gets thrown in.
Yep. So looking here, I mean, immediately what I would say is the sabotages are okay, but they're not the biggest value because Yi has a ton of spells. What it does tell you is exactly what Yi will have in hand, which is useful for knowing how you can try and take these battlefields. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the sabotages come in. I felt like the Blitzcrank was pretty reasonable. The issue is if you can't get on board into the Yi, these rot in your hand. And so the one of was fantastic. I'm curious if we do see more. Immediately when I look at the rest of this deck, I mean, there's not a lot of other things I would want to take out. The Snapvine is very good. Kiana is going to be able to give you some more card refill, which I think is important. Maybe something like the Zhonya's Hourglass is not as enticing in this matchup because usually it protects you from spells. And even more so, we do have these 2 Spirit Refuges that can definitely come out and make room for something else. So I'm looking to see some combination of maybe Spirit's Refuge and Zhonya's Hourglass coming out for maybe Blitzcrank and Sabotage. On the other side here, we have kind of the same question with the Sabotage. You're into a green deck that's going to be running a lot of spells. Do you want to find room to play this? Master Yi tends to play less units, more spells, so the Zhonya's Hourglass is a little bit more valuable here, where you just want to make sure you always have a unit that you can support. And I'm curious if there will be any changes on the Master Yi side.
Yes. I mean, looking at the sideboard here, I wouldn't touch it. I think the deck did exactly what it wanted to do. You know that you're not going to get too much value from Windwall. You're not paying that much. You don't want to pay the Recycle 2 for the Windwall effect. Sabotage, maybe you could hit a buff spell that the Lee Sin's running. So potentially you might want to introduce this. You definitely aren't including the Unyielding Spirits. So if I was Jay here, your deck kind of did exactly what it wanted to do against Lee Sin. So I would potentially just not even touch my list. I'd just go straight back into game number 2.
Yep, there's always the opportunity that if you feel that Sabotage would have been important in the game, that you can bring it in for game 3. But I agree with you that I don't know that there's much reason to change this Yi list for Lee Sin. Exactly. We're going to jump on here. Game 2 between Shadawx and No Heroes J. Lee Sin versus Master Yi.
We start with the 2 battlefields of Obelisk of Power. At the start of each player's first beginning phase, that player channels an additional rune. And we have the Monastery of Hirana. When you conquer, you may spend a buff to draw one. So, obviously, we know that because of the Monastery, it's most likely that Lee Sin is going to have brought this, as he's the deck with the buffs. So, players are just sorting out mulligans now, at which... Let's have a look at what they've got for those mulligans.
Yep, so first draw of the game for Shadawx is going to have a turn 1 play, either First Mate or Pit Rookie. Of course, First Mate holding it back tends to be pretty strong, as you want to get that when I play effect. And the Pit Rookie buff does not matter nearly as much, but Shadawx just going to play on curve, just goes for the First Mate. Personally, I would have loved to see just Pit Rookie buff it up to a 3, and then you have it ready to actually sacrifice that buff to Monastery on the next turn. But I can see just trying to save the Rookie, still get value out of that buff instead of the ready.
Unsurprisingly, we see Kiana coming down first for Jay. Very strong card here. Helps him get more draw potential. I'm going to assume he's going to be doing it for draw. You want to have as much buff spells as you want in hand. Kiana's going to help with that. Kiana's going to help you get everything that you need there. So Shadawx now going over to his turn. He's just deciding on where I push. Will I be able to answer this Kiana? Is Kiana just going to go to the other battlefield? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. So we see a push over to the Obelisk. Pookie coming down and buffing up the First Mate. And with 3 energy still remaining, we pass over to Jay. So Jay now has to worry about that 3 energy potentially being used for counter spells.
Yeah, this is interesting. Of course, like setting up a 4 so that you can deal with the Kiana in an even trade straight away, and holding up energy to try and win the buff war. However, there is just the potential that Jay just says, okay, well, I'll just go to Monastery and not let you get card draw out of the buffs, and just kind of leave this Kiana to hold there, as it will be, a 6 with backup protection. And I just think this makes way more sense than trying to actually contest as of right now. You can wait to contest a little bit. Yes, you're behind in points by 1 turn, so if everyone just holds every turn for the rest of the game, then of course Shadawx would win. But you still have your Master Yi in the champion zone. You have some ways to try and go on the aggressive and retake the Obelisk. And for now, I actually like the decision to ramp. Also, you've got the White Flames. Maybe just ramp yourself to a position to play White Flame Protector later, and that's your way to recap in on Obelisk, because it's gonna be very hard to conquer past this Kiana, which, due to the Master Yi ability, is 6 might on defense.
6 might. It has deflect, so it's going to be very difficult to target with any spells that Lee Sin might have. We know that Lee Sin's running many buff spells, so you're not going to have to pay that deflect cost, but it is annoying to deal with. So we see the Pookie come down for Jay. He is making his Kiana a 7 might unit now. Very, very tall unit. It's going to be interesting to see how this board now develops. We see 3 come down, and we see a Zhonya's come down, as well as a Charm.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing that you have the Zhonya's backup, so forcing Shadawx to bite with some kind of spell to try and not let this just be a free kind of clear, because the Kiana is at 5 due to the buff. And so, like, even if you pump up this First Mate to deal with Kiana, it gets Hourglass, which is really annoying for Shadawx, because then now the Kiana is at base ready to get ready next turn and go conquer again. But I do think he has to use the energy he saved, pump up his unit, ideally protect it from actually going down. Ends up casting both.
Yep, he needed both to be able to stay
Oh, because
on
the
thing.
defend. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Up to 7. But this will be a conquer, and he can spend the buff to actually draw a card if he would like to refill. So this kind of works out for Shadawx, even though this Kiana is now dangerous at home.
Yes, no, she's not going to be easy to deal with, especially she can re-trigger that conquer effect now next turn, get another draw, maybe get a channel rune. So we're just going to have to wait to see what Shadawx does with his turn. He needs to try and push these early points while he can, get these holds down so that Jay isn't getting advantage of his Master Yi Legend. So going for the push there, gaining the points. We are on 4 now for Shadawx. He has 7 runes available. If we look at his hand, maybe we can have a look at what he's deciding on doing. He's got a Snapvine or a First Mate. He's not got a lot of choices there.
Yeah. I mean,
oh, sorry, all the way around.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right though, right? He has very few choices here with the Snapvine and the First Mate there. And on the other side, Shadawx has so many options. The extra draw from Monastery is great, and I want to draw your attention to this card in the center. Rune Prison is one of the best cards against Master Yi because of the ability to stop the damage from coming back. It's a great way to conquer because Yi only uses 1 unit at a time so that he can get the Master Yi ability. And when you stun the only unit, there's no damage coming back to what you're sending in. It is one of the best answers to Master Yi.
Yep. Of course, you still have to try and overmight that unit. So even though he does get the buff, he won't be doing any damage. So you just have to make sure that you have more. We know that Jay doesn't have any spells in hand. He potentially did just draw one. So from Caster Vision, we know that he might struggle to actually clear off these battlefields. Well, he's got the Snapvine, we know that. So something tells me this First Mate isn't going to be on that board for much longer. So we will see. Kiana going and invading the battlefield for the Pookie. Very likely we will see something coming from Shadawx here. The Primal Strength is shown. A Primal Strength, a 4 energy, 1 recycle that says action, so you can play it on your turn or in Showdown. Give a unit 7 might this turn. So this Pookie, for the rest of this turn, is 9 might. Extremely strong.
That's very tough for the side of Jay because loses the Kiana, and then the Pookie heals to 9. So you actually then don't really have a way to deal with it. The Snapvine can't deal with it. You can't try and conquer that location. And now Snapvining away the First Mate, but there's still the Pit Rookie on this Monastery of Piranha. And it's even with the Pit Rookie for Master Yi for Jay. Is going to do the discipline to try and get in there and actually take this down. And it looks like Shadawx will not have an answer this time. But having to expend the discipline anyway to just get over a Pit Rookie is not where you want to be.
No, definitely not. The Primal Strength was a card that I saw this card, was very excited to use it in games. It's very strong. Fortunately, though, it is a bit dangerous. It is exactly in Defy range. It meets the requirements for the max. So if you spend that and your opponent has Defy, they get maximum value. So you do have to be careful if your opponent is running Defy, which, being in green, he has the availability to do it. It is a very dangerous card to cast if you think that your opponent does have it. So we are just waiting for Shadawx to play his turn. He's thinking about it. Let's have a look what he's got in his hand. What's he thinking about? Oh, we see the Set. Set makes his return. He needs to hold on to energy and runes for Rune Prison for the defense. You also have the option for Lee Sin available.
Yep. You can always just drop Sunlit Guardian at a location already because the Obelisk get value out of that tank keyword and the shield keyword that are on there. So, of course, it being the first thing that has to be targeted, and then shield giving it +1 on defense. But Set is maybe the strongest card that Lee Sin has access to is this orange Set because of, we talked about in the last game, its ability to go Super Saiyan, essentially, when you're able to spend more than 1 buff per turn and conquer anywhere. And Shadawx can always just look for that to be the win con is, hey, I'm just going to kind of wait until I get to 6 points and then just go with the biggest Set imaginable, take out whatever side that Yi tries to defend. And in the last game, we did see it get buffered, right? It was stopped by the fact that he was able to pump to 15 over the 14 of Shadawx, and we'll have to see if that can be prevented again, but Yi is very low on cards in this game.
Yep, I believe Yi is now down to 3 cards, so at least Shadawx can go into this showdown knowing that if Jay does have a response, he only has 3 spells. He doesn't have to play around 4 like he did last time.
And there's always the bailout of the stun, right? There's always the Rune Prison. Even if you're losing the combat power-wise, the Rune Prison just means you can keep your set.
Yeah, and you would always want to keep your set. You can always rebuff him with Lee Sin for 1 energy. You're always going to get the value from saving him. We see the Keeper come down. He recycled the rune, and he's drawn a card. So let's have a look at his hand now. Ooh, we see the White Flame Protector. Here we go. The card has returned. 3 of White Flame Protector. How does Set deal with that?
Yeah, so the important thing here for the White Flame in context compared to last game is Jay really needs to defend against Shadawx, and White Flame doesn't actually do anything on defense. It is for conquering. It is to overcome the weakness that he has in the conquering aspect of the game, because his legend ability doesn't do anything to help you there, and it plays a lot of ways to help defend, but not a lot of ways to help conquer. You have your top end, your Snapvine, your White Flame to get there, and Shadawx is just 3 points away from the victory, is going to be able to kind of blast through. And I think because of the stun and because of the hourglass in Shadawx's hand, he'll be able to kind of fade that first White Flame turn to try and retake. And I think that we're going to be seeing that play out shortly with Shadawx maybe setting up the Zelyu's hourglass, scoring again with the set, and then having that stun backup ready to go either for the following conquer or to try and defend a hold.
Yes, one of the things that I really enjoy about this game is as soon as your opponent goes to 6, or once you are at 6 points, that is when the game really comes down to my opponent could win next turn, so you have to do everything in your power to make sure that they cannot. So currently, Shadawx has pushed onto Jay. He has gained that 6 points. From this point on, Jay should be really thinking, okay, all he needs to do is get those 2 points to win the game. I need to make sure he either doesn't have the units to do that, or I need to make sure that he cannot break through my wall of units, which he's definitely going to have to try and play around at the moment.
And if you look at this, I mean, White Flame isn't going to do really much of anything because of the way it looks like Shadawx wants to set this up. I think he's going to consider not sending the set in, and instead might just sit back with set, wait for the next turn and try and double conquer. But no, we are going to see the activation and the Lee Sin. So this is going to be the double pump onto the set, push it up to 12. And that should be an easy conquer. However, defending afterwards, that's going to be the real challenge.
Yep. Unfortunately, like the games that we have seen before, he doesn't have set as his legend. So this set is going to drop back down to 5 might at the end of this turn. If that set dies, he won't be saving him. He will be going straight to the discard pile. So we are just going to have to wait and see how Jay responds. He does also have Yi available. Yi in the champion slot is Master Yi Honed. It has the ganking keyword and enters ready for 7 energy and 1 rune. Do we see it come down?
Instead, it's going to be the Sunlit Guardian. I think, okay, I see Shadawx's plan here, right? He's now added a tank to this battlefield. He's going to look to hold because he has the stun. And so when we see the White Flame buff come through, he can stun the buffed unit. And he doesn't have to clear everything. It doesn't matter if he clears anything. If his units are not taken out by Master Yi, Master Yi's units will bounce. It's the way that these showdowns work. Defender has an advantage. If not everything dies from the defending side, the attackers must retreat. And that will conclude in a hold for Shadawx.
Yes, we just need to wait to see that big tap out of the White Flame Protector to come out for Shadawx to know that this play that he has done was the correct one. And Jay is just thinking now. He can see that Shadawx has 5 energy up. So he's trying to think about, okay, if he has this card, how could he play around it?
Yep. And the problem for Jay here, right, is White Flame is full commit. That is, he's got 8 runes. White Flame costs 8. So if you want to go for White Flame and try and take, that's everything you got.
Yep. We are seeing the potential trade here between the Clockwork Keeper and the Picked Pookie. We're just waiting to see how this resolves. Shadawx, believe, being given the focus to cast any spells if he wants to. They both decide to kill off their units. They're traded. We have an open battlefield and one battlefield that has to be cleared by Jay for him to stay in this game.
But Shadawx knows he can just commit to holding this one battlefield because he has this stun available. There's the White Flame, and that's just going to lock it up for Shadawx, right? This +8 comes in. It's just going to get stunned.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, when a unit is stunned, even if your might is bigger, you do not kill the units. The unit remains at the battlefield during this combat because he cannot break through the wall. There's the stun. 14 might. Jay, you seeing him there? He didn't play around it. He forgot, maybe. Oh, this might be his first time actually seeing that he has a rune prison, right? Did he play one last turn?
It did not get played last game, so this is the first time he's seen it.
So he now knows that card is there, and we see Shadawx take game number 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. They're cleaning up. I was like, what are they doing here? Yeah, they're just cleaning up. Shadawx got there. And we're going to get that game 3 coming through there. Our first game 3 of the day, partial. And it didn't look like any sideboard cards came up, right? We didn't see any sabotages. We didn't see anything different. It doesn't mean that they weren't in the deck, but we did at least see Azonia's Hourglass for Shadawx, so we know that that was not at least sided out in lieu of something else. Didn't actually get played, didn't really find any use for it, which is, I think, what I was worried about. Maybe we'll see Shadawx still take it out because he had the card in his hand, looked at it, and was like, huh, I can't play this. This is not actually good. So I think this is maybe not the matchup for it. We'll see if the sabotages weren't in already, if he brings them in for game 3.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see how they're both going to adapt to these deck lists, that they do have the option to edit if they want to. So we're looking back at the deck list here. So looking at Shadawx's list, clearly this Rune Prison, very key card in this matchup here, saving him. He knows to play around this White Flame Protector now. Primal Strength did an excellent job during that round. The Snapvines are good, specifically for dealing with these Yi decks. And hey, I wouldn't mind seeing a Blitzcrank again. It's a fan favourite, I think, from League, just because of how iconic he is. But here we go. White Flame Protector being brought in. I don't see any changes to this list, especially in this matchup.
The sabotages, maybe. I could see the sabotages come in. Because I think that this is like an information matchup. You're bluffing each other so much with the cards in hand that sabotage, taking the one that is the worst one for you to deal with and then knowing exactly what your opponent can do is, I think, valuable. And I would like to see sabotages maybe on both sides, considering just how valuable that hand info actually is. As we jump into game 3 here, Marshall, it's going to be Targon's Peak and Grove of the Godwillow. Grove of the Godwillow is going to be that draw on hold. So whenever you hold, you will draw a card. And Targon's Peak is when you conquer here, you will ready 2 runes at the end of your turn.
So with those battlefields being the choice, Targon's Peak going to be great for both players. They both want to be spamming spells. They're both going to take advantage of Targon's Peak. Grove of the Godwillow is just a general good battlefield. Everyone wants draw. So both battlefields are going to be fought over here. It's not like one's going to be wanted more than the other. We're looking at the mulligans right now. I will say Jay's mulligan looking a bit rough right now.
Yeah, I think that's post-mulligan that he's got that. But at least he had this Clockwork Keeper to jam onto the board. So at least he's got one early unit to work with. As we do get the Sunlight Guardian, once again, Shadawx having these kind of early plays, getting Obelisk on both of the initial games, and then game 3 going second has the 3-drop.
Yeah, excellent starter hand. I think the Guardian is a really good early drop, especially if you're going second. 3 energy for once it's on that battlefield, you get 4 might. It's also a tank, so you can put other stuff on that battlefield, and your opponent has to deal with that Guardian first. Clearly, we can see Jay struggling to decide which battlefield to go to here, but decides to go to the Godwillow.
I think this play is just required because Jay has Primal Fury in hand and a lot of other jank.
The charm.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. So I think this works as well. Charm to just try and take out the Sunlit Guardian. I was going to say holding up 4 runes to just immediately play Primal Fury if anyone tries to take this from you would be really good, but he does end up having this first mate. And I am curious if that was pre-mulligan and it just wasn't caught up yet, because these are some great cards that Jay has been able to pick up. So we'll have to maybe take a look at Jay's hand again and see. I'll pop it up just real fast. No, it is still going to be Primal Strength, Snapvine, and another Primal Strength. So it was just, those were the 2 kind of top decks that were found right afterwards, were the first mate and the Clockwork Keeper.
So, interesting. Shadawx, a little bit limited with his choice of what cards he could potentially play. We only see 5 Calm runes. So, no body runes available for if he wanted to play Snapvine, for example, if he finds that card. But we just see another Guardian come down here. Which means that if he cannot remove this first mate, yeah, we're going to get a draw from the Godwillow.
Yeah, I mean, this is big. Jay's hand is pretty bricky. The primals are good for defending, but it is just kind of like, okay, this is the only thing my hand is allowed to do, is play primal when Shadawx tries to contest me. And so being able to get 2 cards this turn instead of one draw from the Godwillow, 1 draw for start of turn, try and find some other cheaper spells, more flexible spells, and some units is so important for Jay.
Yes, definitely. And he's got these battlefields being held now. He's getting the legend ability from Master Yi, so he's getting that extra 2 might when he is defending alone, which we can see 1 unit here and 1 unit here. So we're just going to have to see how Shadawx is going to deal with these really beefy, cheap units, which are not just beefy from the Yi legend. We know that double primal strength is available in hand, so we're just gonna have to wait to see how it gets used. If we go and have a look at the hands, let's see what Shadawx is thinking about. We see a Kiana, we see a Stalwart Poro, a Defy, and an On Guard. It's not looking too great.
He doesn't have a lot of answers to Jay's current board, and certainly doesn't have answers to the Primal Strengths. I mean, Defy can answer a Discipline, but it cannot answer a Primal Strength.
No, it can. Defy can hit Primal
Strength. Up to 4?
It's up to 4. This is what I was saying before. Primal Strength, the best value that you can get with a Defy is Primal Strength.
Why did I think it was 3 in 1? Okay, no, awesome. Then never mind. Defy is amazing here.
Defy is
so good.
Defy is the worst card you want to see when you're playing Primal Strength. You're paying your 4 energy, you're recycling 1, and your opponent goes, okay, I'm going to recycle 1, I'm going to use 1, and your Primal Strength disappears. It's not an issue to me.
God, this card is so good. What the hell, Marshall? This card is amazing.
So, Kiana coming down. We are paying the 1 body rune that we had so that we can get her onto the board. We're also buffing it with the Blind Monk Legend, which is 1 energy and a exhaust to give the buff. We see the Poro coming down as well. Seeing lots of developments for later turns, however.
5 points already for Master Yi, Marshall. I mean, this is just 2 turns away from Yi potentially winning, being able to get those extra scores. And Shadawx has built a board and has that Defy ready to go for the Primal Strength, as you've pointed out. So unless the double Primal Strength comes around, I suppose Shadawx should be able to try and find some way back into this game. It's just 5-point deficit is so tough to overcome because Jay does have these answers like the Primal Strength and the White Flame Protector to try and get those extra conquers. Things that are very difficult for Shadawx to deal with unless he finds the perfect answers, which are those Defies and the stuns with the Rune Prison for the White Flame buff.
So, one of the things as well, I don't know if you noticed that when we were looking at Jay's hand, it was double Primal Strength, double Snapvine. So even if Shadawx pushes these battlefields, he's not keeping them. There is nothing on this planet that he can do to keep those battlefields. They will be falling at some point. And with him being only 3 points away from a game win, I think it's unless Shadawx gets a really good hand, he's going to be struggling. He is on the back foot right now.
Well, and it's tough here, right? Because you've got your Kiana, the strongest unit you've got on your board, which is a 5, but this Stalwart Poro on defense for Master Yi is also a 5. It is not that you can answer it so easily and force the hand of Jay by sending in Kiana. Because Jay feasibly could just say, you know what, I'm at 5. If you want to send your Kiana into this Poro, I won't use any spells. I'll let this happen.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for Shadawx to decide what he wants to do. Let's see what his top deck was here. It wasn't on guard. Looking a bit rough there, Shadawx.
So maybe this works. I mean, you send in the Kiana, you pop the one on guard, and you see what the response is from the other side. We are going to get Lee Sin instead. Is going to come down. Will we get the accelerate through? We will, like with just one on guard available to back it up.
So Lee Sin is readied, and Lee Sin is other buffed friendly units at his battlefield have 2 extra might. At the moment, that only includes Kiana. So if Lee Sin and Kiana go to a battlefield, you will have the 6 might from Lee Sin. Kiana is at 5, plus the additional 2 from Lee Sin. So you're pushing, my math is very quick there, 13 might to a battlefield. And that is just until they're there. So this Poro is the Stalwart Poro, is currently holding, which has a might of 5, which is very... oh no, never mind. As I say, this Kiana can die, but this Kiana's at 7. We've just talked about this.
Yeah, interesting to see the Stalwart Poro come through as well for Shadawx, because it almost just gives a target that Jay can say, okay, I guess I'll kill the Poro and just pass this instead of trying to defend too heavily. Now, we may see the Primal Strength try and take out some of the bigger units, because this would be 5 Primal Strength. We push it up to 12, which doesn't actually clear the Kiana and the Lee Sin, so there's not a lot of reason to do that. Maybe you just drop the Discipline and try and clear away the Kiana or the Lee, and that's what we're going to see. Discipline is going to come out. Curious if Shadawx decides that he wants to defy that, but then he will not have it available.
Yeah, he goes for the defy onto the Discipline, so he no longer gets the draw from the Discipline. He's going to trade the Poro for the other Poro, but we know that Discipline had a lot better value that he is probably wishing he saved.
Yeah, I think as well, considering that there is this Hourglass, I guess you just let the Discipline come through, lose your Kiana, but then she just respawns. She just come back with the Hourglass, and then you save that defy for later.
Yeah, not even like set either. You keep the buff on it. Definitely, yeah, I think knowing that he has Primal Strength, that defy does feel wasted with caster vision.
But in general, defying Discipline does feel good. You get rid of the draw, you deny the power there, so I do think it makes sense to kind of spend that defy, and I know Shadawx wanted to keep this potential hold of Kiana plus Lee Sin. 13 might is really tough for Master Yi to overcome if it isn't a White Flame, and even a White Flame doesn't actually get over the top with these units on board, because the max that you'd be able to create with the White Flame is 13 power. It would be pushing the first mate to 11 and then 2 from the Clockwork. So it would just tie and trade, which is, you know, maybe good for Jay anyway, but Shadawx really wanted to keep that 13 might there to try and get the draws.
And yes, I just want to mention something quite briefly. Above the player cam for Shadawx and below the player cam for Jay, there is a bar, which is yellow. That is the games that they have won counter, so it's the first 2 wins because it's the best of 3. So as you can see here, both players have won 1 game each, so it is we're on game 3 at the moment. But yeah, we see the Snapvine come down here, killing the Guardian. So we have an open battlefield, and if Jay goes for it, he's going to go to that 6 points, and as I mentioned in the previous game, 6 points, you never want to see your opponent have 6 points, unless you know that you are going to win the game, and stop them, because all they need to do is push 2 battlefields, get those 2 points, and the game is over.
And we're going to just get the Pit Rookie, so it's just going to be a development turn from Jay afterwards, going to potentially just let that one draw come through for Shadawx on the Godwill's Grove, as he does go up to 6. So getting ready 2 runes, and that 4 rune breakpoint, that is just going to be the Primal Strength ready to go. And I think it's time for us to take a look at the hands once again. See what Shadawx found. A Primal Strength of his own.
Primal Strength of his own to counteract the other Primal Strength. We get the On Guards as well. So if we go to the runes for Jay will have exactly 9, which is 2 Primal Strengths. He can do that. there is a line where if he goes for the primal strength, it gets countered by the primal strength, and then he reacts again with that primal strength. And Shadawx will not be able to get the on-guard value because there is 2 units at the battlefield. On-guard will only give 1 might. If there is 2 units on a battlefield, it only gets 2 if it is the only unit at that battlefield. Friendly unit, should I say.
Yeah, and I mean, Shadawx still has to solve for this other location, right? Because as it stands, if you just kind of trade holds back and forth, in 2 turns, Jay will win. And also, these players are now going to be under time pressure, right? 7 minutes left in the round. Series tied up 1-1, but they've got to finish this up.
So, I just want to get this clarified. Once that timer hits 0, it's just the player with the most points, right?
I don't actually know what the tiebreak rules are for this tournament, and I really should. So we'll get an admin to let us know, and we'll tell you what happens. I think there are supposed to be extra turns, but I don't know if they cut that for this tournament because of time. So usually it's 5 extra turns is in the official rules, but that doesn't, like, tournament admins are supposed to be able to supersede those for whatever needs that they have.
So it should be interesting to see if this does go on for an extra 6.5 minutes, what the ruling will be. Because if it is off points, we just had it confirmed it is 5-turn overtime.
Sweet. So it is just the standard. Awesome. Yep. So 5-turn overtime, which is 5 turns total. So it is, 1 turn after that last turn it finishes. Then each player is gonna, 1 turn on one side, another turn on the other side. It's not 5 turns each, right? 5 total turns.
Yeah. So we're seeing Lee Sin get pulled back, Poro going up, trying to go for that hold. We see that Shadawx is holding up 5 energy, which is enough for exactly a primal strength and an on guard. We know that Jay has access to 2 primal strengths. I think we're seeing the first one come out here. We see a primal strength onto the Pookie. Pookie is going to a scary 9 might. We saw he get his 7th point from the hold of the Targon's Peak.
Is he greeting this, though? Or is he sending everything in?
So it's currently...
There's not much reason to hold anything back.
Yeah, you kind of just want to push everything here. You know you have the 2 primal strength. So we're seeing 9 plus 6. We've got 15 might on the side of Jay. A measly 8 on the side of Shadawx. So we're just waiting
9 due to Poro's shield, getting the +1.
True. Forgot to miscount
but
that.
Still measly in comparison.
So we will see Shadawx have to respond with his primal strength. Which... Oh, I guess he goes for 1 might. On the Kiana. So we are now on 10. 10 to 15. We see the primal strength come out for the last remaining energy available. And we see the Defy. We saw, there we go. Top value Defy. He's even checking it. He's like, there's no way this gets defied. He's reading it himself. You can see the cogs turning.
I thought it was 3. Yeah, no, me too.
So, yeah, Shadawx sees there that he loses and Jay gains the 8th point. I believe.
Yeah, congrats to Jay for picking up that game. This was a really tight series, but this last game, it felt like the hand Jay had looked so rough at the start, but each top deck per turn found the units necessary. And that makes sense, right? You draw part of your deck that doesn't have any of your 2-drops when your deck runs so many 2-drops. The top of your deck should be pretty friendly to you at that point, and Jay definitely found exactly what he needed and then made it to the late game where the hand that he found in the mulligan was actually very, very strong, having those extra primal strengths. Getting to bait out the Defy on a discipline earlier on certainly hurts Shadawx a bit here, but would not have been able to overcome that extra Defy backup that Jay had himself. That's going to be Master Yi picking this up 2-1 over Lee Sin.
Yes, Master Yi claiming another victim. We know how strong Master Yi has been in these tournaments, shown the power that he holds. I'm so happy that we got to see the White Flame Protector. It was a card that I like the idea of I play a big unit, it also makes something else big. very difficult to deal with. Primal Strength as well. It's a card that I really enjoy, and it was really interesting to see how players were playing around this. And it's just interesting to see how players are playing around this. I think Shadawx learned a hard lesson of that Primal Strength can actually be defied. I don't think.
Yeah. I wonder. It'd be so fun. It'd be so funny if you said, "Wait, I thought that was only 3s," because I thought the same thing. For some reason, I had it in my head that it was 3 and 1 power instead of 4 and 1 power. And yet, I play a lot of green and I play the card a lot. But I feel like I probably would defy something that was a 4. Just because you get it all twisted. All these new cards. There's so many of them. I'm trying to get them all jammed in my brain. And I mean, I'll have them soon enough, surely. But it is cool to see. That is the maximum value, and it's a mirror of green-orange that are both playing Primal Strength, both playing the Defies, and it is this another reason Sabotage probably should have been in, and it might have been. We just didn't see it, right? It's really hard to say if it was in or not, but Sabotage would have been great to be able to just know the hand info, know when the Primal Strength is there, know when you need to hang on to your Defy to try and deal with it.
Yeah, and with that, and the time running out, we have no B game, so we will go to a very short break, hopefully, and then we can go on to game number 3 for today's tournament.